the generator light when the car is running is on, so I need to figure out what that's all about. I played with the regulator a little bit, cleaned the points, the contact points. They seem okay. So the generator has this procedure where it's charging backwards, so you make some sparks above it somehow. I remember doing this like 20, 30 years ago. I need to do it again. Maybe that's the problem. So we're going to bench test the generator, and we're going to do that by using it as a motor. We have power on the negative side, grounding it. We have the positive on one of the terminals. We're going to connect the other terminal to it, and then it needs a bit of a kick to get going, but come on, there it goes. It's chooching. That is supposed to mean that it's working. There are some airplanes that actually use their generators as a starter motor. It saves on weight. Anyway, this appears to work, so maybe that wasn't the problem. I'll clean it up while it's off and put it back in. So I'm in the process of trying to get the clutch unstuck. This car in particular, I don't know if it's a Sprite problem or just this Sprite, has a tendency to, when it sits for a long time, for the clutch plate to freeze to the clutch itself. Typical way of unsticking it is to warm up the engine really good, and then drive it, and with the clutch depressed and it in gear, so you have to start it in gear. The driving videos you saw in Warsaw were actually the test drives to try and get that to happen. We thought at the very end that we did break it free, but now it's sat for well over a year since then, so it's frozen up again. So what I've been doing, since I'm scared to drive it on the street here, especially with it difficult to stop and start and things. So what I'm doing here, I have it jacked up and back. I've been running it in different gears. I can look into the inspection hole in the transmission, and I can see where the bearing is free from the clutch plate, but the springs are still in the engaged position. Even when I push the clutch, the slave cylinder, all the way to where it be free, there's just a big gap between it, the throw-out bearing. Is that the right word, throw-out bearing? And the clutch. So basically, it's not working. And hopefully the heat from the engine will penetrate now through the flywheel onto the clutch plate and break that free. So this is the transmission. This is the slave cylinder. Slave cylinder is all the way free. Well, I guess the forward is free, but if you look up in there, you can see, focus, big gap. The springs aren't releasing, unless the springs have gotten completely weak, it means the clutch itself is stuck to the flywheel. So I'll keep playing with it, try and break it free. Worst case is take the transmission, pull the engine, take the transmission off, and do it that way. I don't want to do that. Yesterday, trying to break the clutch free, I was using the brakes to give it that tension it needs to torque it off, and the brake cylinder right there, one of the pistons popped out, dumped hydraulic fluid all over the place. So I'm in the process of cleaning it up, putting it back together, trying to figure out exactly why it did that. Anyway, cleaning up the parts. I'm not gonna spray them or sandblast them. I just want to get it back on and get the clutch broken. Clutch fixed, I guess. Broken free equals fixed. So I think there were two problems. This lever arm here was kind of frozen, so when it would move, it would, when I'd pull the emergency brake, it would push all the way to one side. Also the adjustment down here, the bolt was frozen. So while I had it all apart, I fixed that, got all the parts moving. Now it's time to reassemble it. Anyone else use kitty litter for spill control? I don't even have a cat. So let that sit for a while, and it'll absorb all the oil, and you sweep it up. So I had a plan. Since I can't drive the car on the street to break the clutch free, my plan was to use the back brakes to break it free. Start the engine in gear, get it running, clutch pressed, hit the brakes a couple times. The jolt should, torque it off. Only problem with that is the brake shoes are really, really old, and I pump the brakes up hard enough, one of the cylinders pops out. So I need new brake shoes. That's the point of the story. So my the process that I was planning on working on the car is kind of all screwed up until I order parts. So I'm gonna do some little stuff today, just to keep the progress moving forward. But I wanted to get the big stuff done first, make sure it runs and drives, but I do need good brakes. That was part of the plan. It's just slow. All right, so it's a little stuff day, which is okay because tomorrow I've got a big day. I'll show you more about that later. If you want to come along on the ride as we complete this project, click the subscribe button. If you want YouTube to tell you every time there's a new video, click the alarm bell. Thanks for watching, and your support is very much appreciated.